Raila, I am with Ruto until 2027. Ashasema basi niko na Ruto mpaka mwaka 2027. Exclusive. Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga has for the first time ruled out any early political exit from the broad-based government, with the Kenya Kwanza administration declaring that he is firmly aligned with President William Ruto at least until 2027 general election. In a wide-ranging interview, the former premier proposed doing away with the voters register and allowing Kenyans to cast their ballots using only their ID cards. He also criticized impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua as a divisive person. Story ukurasa wa 4 na 5. Raila Odinga anasema ataendelea kuwa na Rais William Ruto. KDF locks meal allowance in new system. Mambo yameweza kuendelea sana katika KDF by the way. Na wanasema kwamba kuna baadhi ya maofisa ambao wamelazimika kwenda minus meals baada ya zile allowances zenye zilikuwa za meals kuweza kutolewa na subsidy. Nasemaje mhariri? Kenya Defence Forces KDF personnel will no longer directly access their meal cash allowance after a directive from the military leadership locked the funds under the newly implemented pay as you earn (PAYE), says the team or the system. And the directive aims to prevent service members from using that meal allowance as a collateral for loans. It follows reports that some personnel have had to go without meals since the scrapping of the food subsidy program. So ni kama wanaangalia vile itaweza kufanywa, kwa sababu baadhi ya maofisa wanasemekana kwamba sasa wameweza kufanya kazi bila chakula kwa sababu mambo yamekuwa magumu, subsidy ilitolewa. Haya. Activist Boniface Mwangi to face terrorism charges. He will be arraigned today after 2 days in cells. Ukurasa ni wa pili. Wanasema kwamba Boniface Mwangi atafikishwa mahakamani hii leo, na mambo ambayo atakuwa anakumbana nayo ni masuala ya terrorism. Lead on Kenya's battle with Mexican drug cartel lifted. Na mpenzi msikilizaji, haya ni baadhi ama hizi ni baadhi ya taarifa ambazo unahitaji kuweza kuzifahamu. Details have begun emerging of how Kenya is quietly battling the infiltration of one of Mexico's most dangerous drug trafficking organizations, Jalisco New Generation Cartel. Hii ni ukurasa wa pili, naangazia masuala ya drugs and how Kenya is actually doing it. Ukurasa wa 5, Raila unveils plans for grassroots-led national dialogue. Sasa nataka mazungumzo conclave yafanyike kule kwenye mashinani. Orange Democratic Movement ODM leader Raila Odinga has unveiled a blueprint for a people-driven national dialogue that he believes could help Kenya confront its deepening socio-political crisis and reset the country's governance culture. Kurasa ni wa 5. Raila na conclave yake jisomee uweze kufahamu ni yapi ambayo yanapewa kipaumbele. Ruto, I didn't overpromise, I raised Kenya's ambition. Amesema yeye haku overpromise na atatekeleza mambo yenye alipromise yote. So kama wewe unasema hajatekeleza, shauri yako. Yeye anasema mimi ni raise ambitions. Namaliza na ukurasa wa 7 ambao uko na taarifa kuu hapa pia. Reckless talk on polls, ethnic slurs on goals. Ruto backers in Mount Kenya say. Wanasema bana, sisi kukuuza Mount Kenya re-election ni ngumu. Kwa sababu watu wenye wanakuunga mkono wale wanatoka outside Mount Kenya wanaendelea kuchoma hata zaidi, na sisi tunaona huko nyumbani mambo yanaharibika. Kurasa huo wa 7, growing cold feet. Why ex-DP's allies want to resign soon. Gachagua alikuwa amesema wanangoja tu IEBC kiingia wata resign, lakini wamekunja mkia. Jacqueline, upande wa pili.
No, upande wa pili I have the The Standard hapa. As you can see, the top story hapa is all about DCI gone rogue, and the back page is all about sports. Let's get deep into this paper and get what it has for us. Taarifa ambayo imepewa kipaumbele hapa is the DCI gone rogue, that is from arresting politicians critical of the Ruto administration over their remarks to accusing the rights activists of terrorism. Wameachana sasa na the critics of the government. Now they are accusing the activist right for terrorism. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations, that is the DCI, has veered from the laughable to the outright absurd, tasked with bringing science and professionalism into the law enforcement. The agency now resembles a political hit squad that is doing a bit of the powerful by enforcing verdicts, silencing critics, and trampling the fundamental freedoms with impunity. DCI boss, that is Mohamed Amin, appears hell-bent on dragging Kenya into the ranks of pariah states as long as he keeps rolling the elite satisfied. Taarifa hiyo inatueleza kwamba it has now get out of arresting the political critics, those who critique the government, to now accusing the rights of activist rights. This story is emerging from the fact that Naivasha MP Jane Kiara was accused of incitement. That is just after considering the statement of President William Ruto, where he ordered the police to shoot those who are demonstrating, and that is why the Jane Kiara was arrested and is now being accused of incitement. It says, when he was a deputy president, Ruto accused the DCI of being weaponized for political gain. Now, as the president, the same unit is being accused of openly targeting his opponents. The DCI arrested Mwangi at his home in Lukenya, Machakos on Saturday. He is to be arraigned today. The arrest attracted heavy criticism from Kenyans. Leaders condemned the misuse of anti-terror laws to target activists and a section of leaders. Politicians say that a day of intimidating leaders using the criminal justice system are long gone, and the claims of the DCI misused to settle political cause. More about that story unaweza ukaisoma katika ukurasa wa 4 wa gazeti hili na pia ukurasa wa 5. Still on that story, according to Kalonzo Musyoka, he says that Jane Kiara was accused of incitement, yet we have had the president and his allies tell the police to shoot innocent protesters, yet an MP speaks up and is degraded to court. This is not law. This is repression. And also, Mwanase Mohamed, human rights activists, say that Kenya's constitutional regression undermines the decades of democratic progress and sends a dangerous signals across the region. They say activist Boniface Mwangi was arrested in attempt to muzzle the government critics. They called an urgent reform of Kenya prosecutional and judicial system. Taarifa zaidi unaweza ukaisoma katika ukurasa wa 4 wa 5 wa gazeti hili. Employment Authority under fire from senators. That is the National Employment Authority, NEA, has been taxed by the Senate for failing to deregister road jobs recruitment agencies that have been swindling while promising Kenyans non-existent jobs abroad. Kwamba the authority has been promising most of the Kenyans jobs abroad, but those jobs doesn't exist. It is 100,000 shillings a job seeker paid an agency to secure employment abroad, but this has not happened more than 8 months later. That is too sad. Mtu ameweza kulipa 100,000 so as to secure a job abroad, but the job, it is now 8 months down the line, yet the job is not there. Taarifa zaidi unaweza ukaisoma katika ukurasa wa 2 wa gazeti hili. Ghosted by the state, that is the Busia school with no tutors and funds. The institution, which is Bishop Okunde Aburi Secondary School, was launched in 2022 amid a lot of excitement in the local community. When the school was launched in 2022, it seemed like a ray of hope to the remote localist village in Teso South. parents saw some hope for the children who had to trek miles to go for school. But since then, the school originally admitted 150 who enrolled at Bishop Okunde in the year 2022, but the number has decreased to 84. And this school doesn't receive any funding from the TSC. It doesn't get government computation or TSC teachers, but the students sit the KCSE exam. Unaweza ukaisoma zaidi katika ukurasa wa 3 wa gazeti hili. Rift Valley's political spines cracks as fiery legacy succumbs to loyalty. That is, the region was known for the producing leaders who are unafraid to challenge the state. Now, the analysts say that it has been reduced to blind executive royalty and misagonism rhetoric. In the year 2022, when politicians perceived to oppose Ruto's presidential bid, they were systematically ostracized, labeled as traitors, politically undermined, and eventually they were voted out. Unaweza ukaisoma zaidi katika ukurasa wa 6 wa gazeti hili. And let me end it at page 7, which says, Ruto turns on the charm to whole lawyer nation. That is, the community is now visible in power circles and high-profile state job. That is, a significant appointment is that of Majen Bernard Walialu as the Kenya Air Force Commander. You can get more about that story katika ukurasa wa 7 wa gazeti hili. Uweze kupata nakala yako ili uweze kupata taarifa zingine nyingi zaidi.
Na katika gazeti la Kiswahili asubuhi ya leo, the Taifa Leo newspaper, mpenzi msikilizaji, just to look at a few headlines because most of what is here is what we have given you. Na mpima Ruto hadi mwaka 2027 ni Raila. Huyu mpenzi msikilizaji amesema msimamo. Raila aweka bayana kwamba chama chake kinaunga serikali jumuishi hadi mwaka 2027. Hata hivyo, aongeza kwamba hajawahi kusema ODM itafanya kazi na UDA baada ya mwaka 2027. Asema uamuzi huo utafanywa na wanachama wakati utakapofika. Ukurasa wa 2, taarifa hiyo inaendelea kupewa kipaumbele. Tukitamatisha kwenye gazeti hili, wandani wa Gachagua sasa waingia baridi. Wabunge waogopa kujiuzulu nyadhifa zao kisha kuzitetea kwa tiketi ya chama cha DCP. Na mpenzi msikilizaji, pana shakahola ya pili ambayo inajitokeza kwenye kaunti ya Kilifi. Wanasemaje? Dalili za shakahola nyingine: mwili mmoja, mafuvu mawili na watu wanyonge wapatikana Kilifi na kuhusishwa na imani potovu. Ni kilomita 26 tu kutoka mahali panaitwa Shakahola ndio uweze kufika katika kijiji hiki kinaitwa Binzaro, ambapo sasa wafu wameanza kupatikana tena na watu waliodhoofika kiafya. Ukurasa wa 5 jisomee zaidi. Swali ni serikali huwa wapi hizi vitu zikiendelea?